Yeah, so the movie Limitless.
Oh,
that's how it feels like.
Yeah.
When we were talking about the pill,
yes,
the Adderall.
Yes.
But I feel like if you're subscribed to the Adderall and you're using it responsibly, it shouldn't be a hindrance to what you're doing as far as your work or as far as your day to day.
No,
because I know people who are subscribed that. Like that I've worked with, and I've never noticed that they're off. But I know if you abuse it, like I did back in the day, like I was telling you off camera, I was telling you like every time that I did it, and like it'll be, you know, a little bit abusive. Like I wasn't all out abusive on it.
I've heard people do that.
Yeah, and it'll put me off my equilibrium, like emotionally, like I was telling you earlier, my equilibrium emotionally and spiritually was like off. Like I felt like I was like on a tilt,
right?
And I couldn't, and I didn't feel like myself. And then I felt like, am I overcompensating? Should I take more to get leveled out, or should I just stop doing less so I can get more sleep, or whatever the case may be? And you were just in this weird cycle of trying to figure it out. And at one point, I just decided not to be on it anymore because essentially I didn't really need it because I wasn't technically subscribed to it.
Right, 100%.
I bought it from a guy that went to
that
went to FIU. Right? Shouts to FIU and the people that go there.
Yeah,
but you didn't go to FIU. You went to.
I went to FAU for a little bit. And then
Lynn University. That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, I say it's like with like anything else too, man. You know what I mean? Like some people can't drink milk. You know what I mean? Like, and if your boy's drinking milk every day and you're lactose and it's affecting you, then, you know, so people, if they're going to try it or, you know, whatever it is, and just be honest with yourself. And then, you know what I mean? You know, a lot of people have had, I think, very good experiences. I've had good experiences with it, you know, in moderation and being productive and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's like anything else, dog.
For real.
You know?
Especially with substance, I feel like if you need I'm not really a big advocate on pain management and using subscribed pills for pain management. I'd rather do other alternatives for pain management. Well, depending on the injury too. Like if you really need oxycodone because you cracked your spinal cord and you need to recover, then I get it. But like if you have a hairline fracture on your foot, do you really need Percocet? Do you really need oxycodone? Because I've had experiences with surgery. You were there when it happened. For those that don't know, by the way, this is Mike. He's back, second pod.
Yes, sir.
Because he already popped his cherry already.
Yeah.
So this is your
second. This is my third.
No, this is your third pod.
This is my third. Don't rob
pod.
Me of my dignity on camera.
Yeah, this is Mike's third pod.
My third, but friends for like what?
18 years.
So yeah,
17, 18 years.
17 and
because I met you in 08, 09.
No, like
07.
06, 07.
Yeah. So that's a long time, man. Crazy. But for those that are new to the show, this is Mike, and you can go back to the previous episodes that Mike did. We did one on.
You better go back.
Legalization of marijuana was our first one.
Yeah, and
then pornography was the second one.
You always pick those weird topics.
Yeah. This one is on the conversations that we'll be having today. Is definitely the main topic is going to be toxicity and the red flags you should be looking out for.
Wow. So you choose pornography, marijuana, and toxicity. Wow.
Because we were toxic, we smoked weed, and we watched porn a lot.
I mean, I can't confirm.
Bro, don't leave me hanging, bro.
I can't confirm I have done any of those things. I don't know what this man.
Man, keep it real, man. Keep it a stack, bro. Keep it a stack.
Yeah, no, of course.
But this is what happens when you do life with an individual for so long. You get to see their highs, their lows, the progression, the growth. And there's definitely been growth on your end, and I'm sure you can say the same for me.
Yeah,
and I've seen that.
Of course.
I mean, I think we had front row seats of our like chapters of our lives, bro. Like we literally lived it, and we saw the peaks and the valleys. We saw the ups and downs. We saw the falls, right? We saw the progression, the gradual progressions. We even saw the slip ups and the fallbacks and the relapses. You know what I'm saying? We saw all of it. I saw all of it. You saw all of it. You were there when I was grieving through the death of my tia Maria. Like you've seen a lot of stuff that not everybody could say they walked through with me. You know what I'm saying? So obviously our friendship goes beyond just hanging out and chopping it up and talking about and chopping up and you know talking about the Knicks and how trash Miami the Heat are.
Oh wow!
No, let me stop.
I cannot.
He's a recovering Knick fan, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Like he's a recovering Knick fan. He jumped over the dark side and now he's a full-fledged Heat fan.
No, Laker fan. I'm a Laker fan. No, you can't.
That's because you're a LeBron James.
I'm a LeBron James fan.
I'm a LeBron James fan too.
Absolutely. He reinvigorated my love for the game. It was like 2003.
Mm-hmm.
From like 2000 to 2003, I stopped watching basketball because of the Knicks.
Yeah, they were trash. They were trash.
I looked right at my guy. I looked him dead in the face. I just looked like he was trying to...
They were trash, bro.
Oh my god! I hated it, bro. Yeah. Like I'm like, son, I cannot watch basketball anymore.
Yeah.
Then this high school guy comes in. You know what I mean? He's the same year as me.
Right.
And he was what was that name of that? St. Vincent?
Yeah,
something like that.
St. Vincent's Irish.
Fighting
like
Irish, bro. That was wild.
Yeah,
you know. So.
And he was like the most highest rated high school athlete of all time at the time. So he was already setting a precedent even before he made it to the NBA. Mm-hmm. And I think he signed his sneaker deal before he entered the draft.
Right.
Like Nike already had picked him up because he was such a high school phenom. Like he was the high school phenom that ESPN was showing highlights of. Mm-hmm. Like he put that school on the map because that school wasn't getting any type of play, any type of burn on the radio, any type of play on ESPN especially. Maybe in their local networks in Cleveland,
Facts. Yeah.
But like national broadcasting and put that school on the map, won a state title and everything, but like he just did it all, and everybody was such in awe because he looked like a man child.
There are so many other people who've been like him before, and they could be a bus or something. They could get injured,
they just fizzled out.
Right.
They literally fizzled out, or through some type of tragic incident, they something happened to them and they couldn't pursue an NBA career and stuff like that. There was actually a documentary on that on Netflix about this one high school guy. This is like the LeBron James before there was a LeBron James, and he was like the number one.
Mike Bryan.
Right.
My knee.
He blew out his knee. But there was this guy, and Stephen A. Smith actually talked about this too. He was number one prospect in the nation.
Okay.
He was scouted by multiple schools. He went to a college in New York. I don't know if it was St. John's or some other collegiate team in New York, and then he died.
Oh wow!
And that was the end of it.
Oh wow!
Like this promising career, promising athlete. He was like the next big thing, and he got killed, or he died somehow in a tragic accident. I forget the cause of death, but yeah, stuff like that does happen. Like you have a promising future. You're like number one scouted, number one in the nation. He was one of the top guards in the nation. Like it was crazy, and then it just all came to an end because that life be lifing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know what I'm saying. So
that's crazy.
That is crazy, but that's why I always try to like live in the moment. I've talked about this on the podcast previously about we sometimes fail to live in a moment because we are so driven into capturing the moment in our phones. Mm-hmm. Like, our girls do it all the time. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my God, I want to take a picture of that, of this drink. It looks so cool. Or I want to take a picture of my dinner because it looks so fancy and it looks, exotic. And they want to take the picture. And you're never in the moment. You're never like soaking it up because you're always like trying to capture it on a phone. Mm-hmm. And like we it's like almost like becoming a slave to our phones.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, facts.
It's crazy.
Yeah, sometimes I'm a slave to my ambition and stuff. I feel like
it's another one.
You just where it doesn't even matter what you're doing and what level it is. Like every time you get to one checkpoint, you're like, okay, you give yourself a pat on the back for like 2 seconds, and then it's on to the next checkpoint. It doesn't even matter what your goal is, right? And so sometimes I'm like, I need to just chill, enjoy my family, my friends, and like appreciate how far I've come, and just you know what I mean, and just be in that moment as opposed to like, oh yeah, get to the next thing. Like, we're also caught up in that. I think, you know, I think we're forced to some extent. Like, if you're not trying to hustle, it's like you're not getting it.
Yeah.
But you know, but then also it's drilled into your heads like you gotta beat out your fellow guy. There ain't enough resources. You gotta keep, you know what I mean? You gotta step on these people's heads. And so,
and it's like almost like trying to measure the level of your success based on the things that you're doing. I think we confuse our busyness with actual, we confuse our busyness with the actual
productivity, effectiveness.
It's like you could be an effective associate, an effective farmer, or whatever it is that you're doing, but by doing it in an effective way and being productive in a smart way, instead of constantly staying busy, because people feel like, oh, I got to stay busy, but you're not being effective with it, and you're not reaping the fruits of your labor. You kind of burn yourself out, and then you kind of give up on whatever it is that you were doing, because you weren't doing it in an effective way, because you're just caught up in just being busy. A lot of people, I've actually seen people wanting to just stay busy because they can't stay still, and then they burn out, and then they're finding themselves like unhappy with life in general. Like, I'm like, dude, like, why don't you just take a vacation, or why don't you just take some time off? You know, there is such a thing as a mental day. Like, sometimes you just need a mental day, and you need just to reset and reassess some things, and maybe you have to adjust some things in your life. Maybe you have to shuffle some stuff in your life. Maybe you have to reevaluate the people that are around you. And when you do start self-reflecting, it kind of puts you in a position where you can say, okay, I don't need to be around those people anymore because I don't get work done, or I get myself into debt, or I get myself into trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all proximity too. I don't know, maybe I'm preaching to myself, but like, I feel like that's also a thing. Like, proximity to certain people can affect how you live out your life.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, for me it's the destination, right? Because I'm thinking about my progression over like the last, since I've known you, basically, right? And I think I've spent more time beating myself up, working hard, trying to climb, like significantly, like disproportionate amount of time doing that than I have to being like, yo, good job, Mike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, you beat, because now that I look back at the catalog, it's like I beat like 25 bosses, you know what I mean, in the levels of these games, you know what I mean? But there's no real accolades for it. You know, it's like, I don't pat myself on the back for it. I'm just drilling into my head, oh, go do the next thing.
Do you feel that you don't pat yourself in the back often or enough?
Yeah, you know, and in a figurative sense, not even so much, oh, like definitely like this, but more like, again, being present in the moment, like stopping and just being like, yo, go have lunch with your mom. Give your boy a call. You know, instead I'm calling clients, or I'm trying to read this, and it's because I'm trying to make more money, because I want to take care of my family. Like, the intentions are good,
right?
But I'm like in the wheel now, where like even before I think it was easier when I didn't know what I wanted to do, right? And I didn't have my career figured out, right? Because then I took more time to like think and, you know, be in the moment. Now, granted, there has to be some balance where you have a career and you're making money, right? But once I got on the hamster wheel, however many years ago, I haven't gotten off. You know, and I've even developed another hamster wheel that I fucking, you know, go back and forth between. You know what I mean? It's like, and then I go grab some water over here real quick. You know what I mean? And then go back. You know, so I'm like, I want to get back to like a little bit of like, you're doing well. You know, you're doing well. You're working. You're doing these things. You know, you got these things set up. But like, take some time out, because you're almost 40. And now you're turning into, for example, your parents. You know, who my folks, God bless them though, but they were Jamaicans. They are Jamaicans, and the time they just worked their tails off and they didn't enjoy the fruits of their labor. You know what I mean? And you know, my dad's in Jamaica now. My mom's, you know, owns her own business and is chilling, you know, but they always tell me that they regret not doing it. And I look now and I'm like, you know, because I had a rougher, you know, 20s. So now that I'm here, I'm like, this is a sense of urgency, but I'm not taking any time.
right.
to myself. You know,
it's like always taking appreciation of the small things too, and the small things can mean so many different things to so many people. But for me personally, the small things are what you said. Like, you know, one day saying, "Hey, mom, like you want to go for a spa date, or take your mom." My mom loves the beach, and I don't even. And it's sad to say this, but I don't remember the last time I took my mom out to the beach. I think the last time I took my mom out to the beach is when, after COVID and the world was opening up and businesses were opening up again, I took her to the beach because we were all cooped up in our homes because we couldn't, unless you were an essential worker, you were like remotely working at your house, and you couldn't leave your house. Like, businesses were closed, like things were weird. You know what I'm saying? And like, you were cooped up in the house and you were getting cabin fever. You just needed to get out. And then finally, when things were opening up a little bit and the beaches were open again, I was like, you know what, mom, let's go to the beach. But that was like the last time I took my mom out to the beach, and that must have been 2021. Oh wow! Like the summer of 2021, because COVID broke out in 2020.
Yep, March 2020.
Yeah, and then in 2021, that summer, I was like, Mom, let's just go to the beach. We're in 2023, bro, and I haven't taken my mom out to the beach since then. So it's those things, and because we're busy, right? In quotations, we're busy, but we're busy, but we can pause. You know what I'm saying? We could check in with ourselves too. My therapist always tells me too. Like, he'll tell me, you know, you got to check in with yourself, and I'm like, check in with myself, or or because I check in with my friends, and he's like, yeah, that's great that you check in with your friends, that you have close people in your community that you call friends, that, you know, friends that turn into family, and you check in with them. That's great. You know, I check in with JoJo, I check in with Danny, I check in with you. You know, I think I check in with you more than you do with me, but that's a different story. For
but you see what I'm talking about? Like, that's what you're supposed to do. This was
but then he rose a very crucial point, bro, that kind of like took me back a little bit. Because I was telling him all this. I'm like, yeah, but I check in with my boy, and I check in with my family, I check in with my cousins. And he's like, yeah, but you have to check in with yourself first before you even do that. Because if you don't check in with yourself, if you don't take care of self, if you don't self-love, self-care, you're going to be operating in a place of an empty cup, and you're going to be you're going to be trying to pour into people with an empty cup, and you're not going to be an effective friend, brother, son, etc. So if I check in with myself and check in, like, Javi, how are you feeling today? Why are you upset? Why are you frustrated behind the wheel right now in traffic? Like, what's going on? Like, check in with yourself in those moments, and then take an assessment of yourself, and then go from there. So that's like what checking in with yourself is. And I started doing that more, and it's so effective, because now it's like you kind of understand where your emotions are going, where they're coming from, how can you navigate through certain things. And sometimes I let go of things easier now. Like, oh yeah, I got frustrated because of XYZ, and now I'm in gridlock traffic, and I need to calm down because I can't control the traffic. And it's not the traffic that's upsetting me. It's just I've been upset because of what happened at work, and I'm bringing work with me. Work should stay at work. You know what I'm saying? So all those things, like, once you start like kind of, you know, walking yourself through those emotions, you can sit in traffic and still be frustrated, but you're not like pissed off and you're flipping
or at least you could catch the emotion too, right? Because we're never perfect, but like, at least I know that I'm way quicker at catching the emotion and like switching it around. You know? Facts.
That's basically the magic bullet, if you will. Like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not an angry SOB. I'm not an angry prick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just happen to.
Candace would disagree.
Shouts to Candace.
No, shouts to Candace. I told you I'm gonna get you though.
Yeah. So like that's just like the thing. Like, okay, I was upset, but it's not really about this. It was just that I experienced something at work or something with my family, and now I'm in this different atmosphere, in this different environment, dealing with different people, and I'm upset what happened in my family, and I'm bringing that aggression, that emotion to wherever you're at, with friends, co-workers, whatever the case may be, associates, clients, you know what I'm saying? And then you're going to be difficult to deal with because you didn't know how to like let that go, navigate through that, understand that stays there, You can't do nothing about it then. You're going to find a resolution, but you know, there's a time and place for all those things, right? And some people like me, bro, like I had issues with I can't even say compartmentalizing my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I had an issue here, it would bleed into everything else that I would do throughout the course of the day. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't allow myself to do that because it wouldn't be fair for the person that I was dealing with at work, because I was having a fight with a significant other or my brother or whomever, and it would just bleed into the rest of my day. And poor John, who doesn't know what's going on in your life, and he starts messing with you and poking at you and roasting you, and you're not.
Then you hit him with a twisted tea can in the gas station. You know,
you know what I'm saying? But that stuff happens, bro. That stuff happens, and you're like, oh man, like I let my emotions get the best of me. And like, how many times are you gonna tell yourself that? Right. And I got tired of saying that stuff to myself, like, oh, I let my emotions get the best of me. Oh, I let my emotions get the best of me. And you find yourself saying all these things, and then crawling back to the person that you wronged, and not begging, but like pleading with them and like, yo, forgive me, I'm sorry. Like I was tired of doing that because I knew better. You know what I mean? And like I think that's part of the growth, you know,
for sure.
And that's also part of, you know, being intentional with yourself. Like, okay, I'm learning how to navigate through certain things. I know that anger is something that I can use and not allow it to use me. Like you can use pain, you can use anger for good. I just tell people, don't allow anger and don't allow your pain use you. Because when anger and pain starts using you, it's a hindrance for you, but then also it'll blow up on the people that you love next to you.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like a grenade. You know, you become that grenade, and an innocent bystander steps on you, and you blow up on them, and they get caught with the shrapnel, whatever that stuff is in the grenades.
Shrapnel. Yeah,
the shrapnel and stuff, and they get caught with that, and it's an innocent bystander. They didn't deserve that. You know what I mean? And I got to a point where I'm like, yo, I can't find myself asking for apologies because I couldn't handle my emotions. At one point, you have to grow up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Even happiness, right? Like I would have some happy nights.
Bring the mic a little closer to you.
I would have some happy nights, right? And you're like, a happy night could go wrong very quick. Because I'm too happy, not engaged in self and how I'm feeling, right? And then, you know, it could go all the way left. Because it's not so much the emotion that is the issue. It's not recognizing how you're feeling, right? And repressing, right? For example, if you're sad and you repress the sadness, and that then in turn becomes something else. I find that the repressing or not recognize whatever emotion you're dealing with is what, you know, leads to the negative result. Right. You know, the repressed anger. You know, sometimes my girl knows sometimes I get a little jealous. It's not jealous because she's doing anything wrong. It's not jealous because the guy did anything wrong, right? It's jealous because on a particular day, she looks good and there just happens to be a lot of people out, right? And sometimes the best thing I find is that I tell her, she looks mad good. I feel so jealous right now. Yeah. And it does something instead, right? Of me feeling the repressed jealousy. Like then she laughs and then she kisses me and I don't even feel it anymore. Versus I feel it. I don't really say anything. I'm not saying that other people got to do this, right? But then for me, right, I might now start eyeballing guys sideways because I still haven't said anything and I'm still thinking what I'm thinking, you know, and I'm like, and now I'm making, because I'm making reality out of some of these thoughts. You know, sometimes, you know, I've been in the worst mood and recognizing it and been like, yo, just chill. And like, said to myself I was going to put on a funny movie. Sounds so stupid, right? 10 minutes into it, I don't even feel that same emotion. Guess what? I'm on to go do whatever else I had to do, right? It's just sometimes recognizing the emotion, not repressing it. And we're not perfect. I don't do this all the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes I get angry or I'm sad or whatever, and I don't recognize, and it turns, but just, you know, I think that's helped. I
think also what helped too, and this might be something that will be encouraging to someone listening right now, is fitness. Like I found myself very angry at points in my life, especially in my mid 20s, late 20s. I used the gym to kind of like decompress and like let go of that anger that I was feeling out and let it out in the gym. So it'll be therapeutic, if you will. I don't know if that you experienced that with the gym.
For sure.
And I think the gym was definitely something for me. It was like almost like a sanctuary for me. Like I just wanted to put in my headphones, lock in, zone out, go in the sauna for a little bit, listen to freaking Eminem 8 Mile soundtrack. And definitely not listening to this Tekashi 6ix9ine though.
Oh, I know.
My man, my man got beat up in the gym, bro, at all places, bro.
Listen, you know, I might listen.
Yo, did you see the video though?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Jojo, you saw that video?
Yeah.
People want to say whatever they want to say about this man. Look, I will say.
Are you a fan?
Huh? I'm not necessarily a fan, but I'm not necessarily jump on you and kick your ass in the sauna. Not a fan. Like that's a kind of weird time to catch somebody. You couldn't catch this man in the street.
Yeah,
like,
Hey, I'm a fan afterwards.
You know what I mean?
It's like no, I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
It's so like if like that's what right. Keep it consistent, dog. Like I'm not saying. I'm not even condoning if he got beat up in the street either. I'm just saying it's so weird that you're gonna clown this man, but then you're gonna do some clownery. Like that's clownery kind of. Like, you know, so people are weird, dog.
Not only that, I think like the guys have nothing to do with anything.
Even gang related, nothing like this.
They were just like.
I mean, they were roughnecks though. Like seeing the mugshots, because essentially the guys, the attackers, got arrested. And I saw their mugshots. I'm like, yo, these dudes are roughnecks, bro.
But it's more of like.
But they weren't gang members.
I would do it for
clout. They're for clout.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that we live in an era that people would do the most heinous, outrageous foolery, clownery just to get on
the compulsion, bro.
Yeah.
That's what scares me is the people's thought process. Like even if I didn't like this man, right?
Yeah.
The compulsion that these people had, like they couldn't control themselves.
But they really stomped him out though.
Like
bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like you couldn't control yourself to that point. That's crazy.
Did you read the injuries that this guy?
No, I seen his
So
face.
he got a collapsed lung.
Wow.
Cracked ribs, concussion. His jaw got. I didn't think he fully broke his jaw, but like his jaw, something happened with his jaw. Mm-hmm. It didn't break though, and some other stuff.
And you know what that really is? The result of misplaced anger.
Yeah.
Those people were probably, I don't know if they hate themselves, they mad at their girl, they mad at their mom. Like, I don't know what.
Knowing 6ix9ine's rap sheet and his history, he didn't help it neither. I think 6ix9ine's behavior ever since he went viral and ever since he popped off, like he was very aggressive. He was trolling everybody. He was telling people to go suck his you know what. It was SMD. Like,
but bro,
suck my D,
suck
my D.
You look at the person you are, character wise.
Right.
You telling me you saw this man right now, based on all the stuff you just said, even if I'm conceding to all that, you would feel compelled to jump this man.
Well, not me.
See, but there we go.
I'll feel compelled to talk to the dude. Like, yo, why is the misplaced anger? Like, you're successful. You're a multi-millionaire. Like, there's a.
Oh, I'm not talking his misplaced anger. I'm talking those two dudes misplaced anger.
Yeah, and those two.
That's wild.
But those two misplaced angers too. But like, Tekashi 6ix9ine clearly had or was either doing it because he had something to prove or he had a chip on his shoulder. But then after he got all of his success, he was getting paid thousands of dollars just to appear in festivals. He was getting $50,000 to appear in a festival. Mm-hmm. He would go to Germany and get another $30K to appear in European festivals. He would go on a European tour. My man was giving away money to his community, like, but he still like trolled. He still told people to go suck his you know what. Mm-hmm. He still did all these things, and like I think he just was asking for it. Like you know, like we were talking about karmic things, like you know, you get what you reap. In the Bible in the Bible it says you reap what you sow. So what is it that you're reaping into? What is it that you're sowing into that you're going to reap? Like if you're constantly going to sow into those things, the Bible clearly says that you're going to reap what you are sowing. So if you're always sowing into negativity, into violence, into aggression, into all these things, and for the sake of content creating and for the sake of trolling and getting likes and engagement with the fans, because that's exactly what 6ix9ine
side of the coin.
Yeah, that's exactly what 6ix9ine was doing. Like he's a genius in the fact that, okay, the more eyeballs I get, no matter if they hate me or love me, I'm still gonna get streams, I'm still gonna get content, I'm still gonna get more eyeballs on me, and he's monetizing that, and he's getting paid for that. Like his YouTube channel is insane when he was in his high. Like he would drop a video and it will get 500,000 views in less than 24 hours. So like, but he was doing it in such a net negative that I just kind of stood back and I'm like, yo, I really pray for this man, because this man got it coming to him. When he went to prison and he took that plea and he ratted on these blood dudes from Trey Bloods. Like, I'm like, wow, this dude needs extra security now. He needs to watch where he walks. He needs to watch what he says and how he moves in social media. He did the total opposite when he got released. The minute he got released and put on house arrest, he got on IG Live and started saying, F you, Lil Durk, F you to Meek Mill, and y'all can go suck my you-know-what, and I'ma still do me, and I'ma still drop this, and I'ma still drop that, and blah, blah, blah. And then it backfired on him, and then he started trolling because he couldn't come out with songs because people weren't respecting his artistry. So he had to do other things to get eyeballs on him. So he did the most dumbest things ever. Like he would fly to, I remember it was on the Shade Room. Like my man literally flew to Los Angeles and recorded himself going to Nipsey Hussle's mural and mocking it. And
6ix9ine?
Yeah. And I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing?
Right.
But he did that all for views, for the sake of content, creating and getting views and getting clicks and likes to monetize that, to get bread. He just had it coming is basically what I'm trying to say. So am I saying that he deserved to get beat up like that? Nah, but I think he called it onto himself, because again, you're sowing into that net negative stuff, so you're gonna reap that net negative things. If the Bible clearly states, like, if you're sowing into positive things, that it's more of a net positive in your life, you're gonna reap the fruit of that. Like you're gonna be fruitful in life because you're sowing into fruitful things. So God says if you are fruitful, you will get fruit. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that may be. But he was operating in the opposite spectrum of that. Right. He was sowing into negative things, so it was only time where he was just gonna get that same energy back. And unfortunately, it came to him getting really stomped out at a LA Fit. It wasn't in Brickell, Miami?
No, it was over here, dog.
It was in Wellington.
No.
It was like a Lantana. It was like, I think it was a Lantana.
That's what I was trying to say is I ran into 6ix9ine in person.
Yeah.
One-on-one at the gas station.
Right.
No security, nothing.
Yeah.
And I chopped it up on him for like 30 minutes.
See,
like,
he was a decent guy.
Yeah.
He gave JoJo a video shout out.
Right.
You know, hey, I'm with your father, blah blah blah. Because I'm like, my son's never gonna believe that.
Yeah.
But he was a cool dude. It wasn't like terrible or nothing, but he told me. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
he was just relaxing, hanging out.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just that he put on this persona, and he felt like, I feel like he felt like he needed to live up to that persona.
So a lot of people, a lot of rappers in the media, they all do that.
They do that.
But he just did it in such a erratic way.
Well, you know what I think is even more important is that, right, this could be compared to a lot of things that we do in life, right?
Yeah.
So we, like, you seen the Joker movie, right?
Yeah.
And we create these people in society, then we ostracize them, right? I'm not condoning what he does by any means, right? Right? But he found something and tapped into millions of people. So for whatever reason, that nonsense or whatever he does, right? He was able to tap into millions of people, and millions of people loved it for years. Yeah. So, you know, then they either find out more about him or he gets more in trouble and stuff. And I'm not saying you're one of these people, but then, you know, people kind of kick him to the curb, whatever, or they realize people can change their mind, they change their mind. But let's not forget, these people only exist because of the collective, right? Yeah. So the people that are like a 6ix9ine, you could insert any name, right? We, as a collective, have chosen that person for whatever that thing is. Like, and they're allowed to get away with it. Right. You know? I'm more concerned about how we're so quick to this is not you again, right? How those guys again, right? They were so quick in their moment right there to judge this guy, right? And I don't know what the rest of their lives are like, but they felt again compelled. That worries me, right? Because I've seen people.
Oh yeah, it worries me too. I'm not saying that it doesn't worry me,
right?
That's like a gauge of where society's going.
Yeah, the temperature. I'm like, son, they just saw this man and they were like, yo, I don't like you.
Yeah,
you know, like I sometimes don't like my own homeboys and don't want to fight them.
Right.
Like,
but 6ix9ine is such an outlier because he's such a polarizing social media figure that he got caught lacking, and then these bozos decided to do what they did.
Right. Some people don't like Donald Trump right now, right?
Well, he got indicted.
Right, but if they saw him on the street right now, would you like, you know?
Bro, that was on my feed 5 minutes ago.
Unfortunately, in this world.
You see what I'm saying? But that's the part that I'm getting to, where like the emotions can control you, and then like you know, recognizing you're like I have another thing where even when I could dislike things that people do, but I have a hard time having hatred for people that I don't even know. Right? It's a hard thing to hate people that you don't even know. But how could you have such strong? The people that I've hated the most, I probably loved the most at some point in my life. Like I had love for these people, and that's where the lack of love came from. But like if I don't know you, like I could despise
But I think polarizing figures are so easy to do two things. One of two things. I'm sorry. One of two things: polarizing social media figures or just cultural figures, like the Andrew Tates, like the Donald Trumps, like the Tekashi 6ix9ines, like Michael Jordan. These polarizing figures. They're either A, easy to love, or B, easy to hate. You know what I'm saying? Because they're just so polarizing. Look at Donald. You just mentioned Donald Trump. He happens to be on my feed, and I thought it was like because I don't really keep up with current events because I try to stay away from that because that'll get my mind going to like Illuminati stuff and conspiracy.
Yeah, and that comment wasn't against. That was just to point out that I know some
and it'll get
might hit him. You know what I mean? But like,
and then but former president,
you have to disclaim those things.
Yeah, you do, especially when you're on YouTube. So disclaimer: we're not going there with that narrative. even though like I didn't vote Donald Trump, but like. I feel like Donald Trump is who he is, man. Like that's who Donald Trump is. He's a businessman. He's about the bottom line. Yeah. He's about being progressive, and he's about doing these things to.
Sometimes it may be at the expense of other people, and I don't condone that either. Right. But guess what? I can't tell you a CEO or a business person or a politician in this country who hasn't ever, stepped on somebody's neck to get where they're getting. Some of those politicians are stepping on children's necks right now. Right. You know what I mean? So, that's once again, people who they're pointing these fingers. It's like these two people remind me of other people. Like those two people who jumped 6ix9ine remind me of the same thing. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying, I listen, I like to stay neutral and objective, right? Yeah. But the thing is, sometimes when there is smoke, the way this country works, there is no fire. They've learned that we know that there's fire coming next, so they put smoke places. Right. And I'm like,
do you think there's a conspiracy theory, and we talked about Illuminati and conspiracy theories, and I don't really subscribe to it, but I entertain it enough. But I don't really subscribe to it. And we talked about it off camera about the Illuminati, the secret societies, and the Donald. Be
careful, son. We're on camera, dog. I'm not.
The Donald Trumps of the world. But do you think that maybe Donald Trump was set up? Because people wholeheartedly believe that Donald Trump was set up. And the reason why he's getting indicted today, he already got indicted. It was on my feed. Hold on.
I can't say whether he was getting set up or not. So what I am saying is that there are times where they go hard to prosecute people, and there are times where they don't. And I don't know all the details.
So why do you think he was prosecuted now versus when he was in his presidency and he wasn't impeached? But now he's being indicted now. Because it's a real thing. Like I said, it was on my news feed. Breaking news. Former President Donald Trump is officially under arrest.
Because elections are coming up soon, buddy.
You think that's what it is, right?
Absolutely.
If 2 + 2 is 4, right?
Pretty much.
In this scenario, bro, he's.
I got something to say though.
Go ahead, Jojo.
All right, so we are indicting a former president.
Yeah.
On on some allegations
right.
of, it was like hush money.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, with Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that's right. Yeah.
How many people got arrested on that chart log?
Yeah. 0.
Yeah.
They still trafficking children right now.
Yeah, there's children still being trafficked right now.
So hush money is a bad no-no.
Right.
Let's go after a former president, but we're just gonna brush all that under the rug.
And our government is the ones that invented hush money, dog. Yeah. We've been giving hush money. We've been bribing people, doing white collar crime for how many years?
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear. Listen, once again, even if he did do it, right? Even if I'm staying neutral. You got to weigh your options though. Even if he did do it,
yeah.
Is it that wild compared to some of the stuff that we know is going on right now? I mean, I think resources could be allocated to doing a lot of different things that we know that are way more heinous. I'm not condoning what he did. I'm not condoning it, but it's wild to me.
But wasn't it like, I don't know, like some of these, just outside of Donald Trump, there's the Epsteins of the world and all these other big political figures. Like we, as a society, sometimes we fail to see the red flags.
Yeah.
Like we kind of turn the blind eye and we kind of see the red flag, but we just keep it moving, or, because he's so successful, we're just gonna bypass the fact that he's playing with children. Mm-hmm. Like, look at the red flags that R. Kelly.
That's part of the plan.
But look at R. Kelly, for example.
Don't want us to know,
R.
son.
Kelly was red flagging since he put Aaliyah on the map.
Bro.
And nobody batted an eye.
Karl Malone had a whole child with a minor, 13 years old. I didn't hear about this till like 2 years ago.
Right. Like you don't see these red flags, and then when we do, we don't bat an eye because it's R. Kelly. He's such a talented artist, and he wrote "I Believe I Can Fly." And he couldn't have done that. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Bill Cosby. But I grew up with Bill Cosby. And he's so funny, and like the proof was in the pudding, and people were still in denial, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we just this is how society operates, bro. Yeah. If you are successful, if you are money, if you are a cash cow, and you're doing some shady stuff, and you get somewhat caught, and it's some of that is exposed, and you see the red flag, and people won't bat an eye, bro.
Well, you know what? I disagree with you again. I think us normal people, I think we care. I think that the reason why think about why those children or the people or all these heinous crimes are not really being prosecuted, because it's the most powerful people doing the nonsense.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So they get away with murder.
They're getting away with it. Bill Cosby wasn't chilling at your house drugging women, was he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Karl Malone wasn't at my crib.
Yeah.
Karl Malone was at probably another wealthy person's house doing the same damn thing. You know what I mean? And that's how do you get away with that for so many years? Because people who are around you, like your regular Charles down the street, he's getting bagged tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's getting bagged. It's the politicians and the athletes and musicians. And I'm sorry, I'm not. There are regular people that I'm just saying. It's just those because you have to think why. How is it that they show you numbers on missing girls and missing kids?
There was one that was posted today on Instagram. Missing girl, 16 years old.
It's in the 100,000s, bro. Yeah. And nobody can find these people nowhere. These kids nowhere.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
It's.
But speaking of red flags.
Oh yeah, back to red flags.
We're gonna segue into our main topic, and I shared it with Mike, and Mike thought this was gonna be a great topic of conversation because we can speak on both sides of the spectrum, because we were once running crazy in these streets, quote unquote.
Speak for yourself, Javi.
And
from now on, speak for me.
And we were. I mean, I had toxic traits.
We all did.
And I showed some red flags to some shorties that encountered me. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't the best to be around once things were exposed and once I was made out to be that type of dude. So we just wanted to have these talks about avoiding these individuals, whether you're a man or a woman. I believe
recognizing, right? Just recognizing
like the red flags, because I think a lot of, especially women nowadays, they're running blind, and getting into situations or situationships. That's a thing now. Like they're getting into these situationships with dudes who are red flagging and they don't see it.
Red flagging.
Yeah.
So
and they're showcasing all these red flags and girls still end up getting burnt by these individuals and getting played and making them, look like clowns out here in these streets. So we're going to kind of have those types of conversations. But I think to get to the root of that is identifying the toxic traits. So I don't know if you have any toxic traits that you want to share with the audience and with
toxic traits.
Yeah, what toxic traits should girls or men look for in a partner before they get involved way in too deep? Because sometimes if you get involved way in too deep, that they feel that they're trapped in that relationship and they can't get out. So what are some? Can
I reverse for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, because for me, recognizing the red flags too was also about learning about myself, right? Because I found that
speak on that.
As I started to recognize the red flags, there were common red flags. They weren't new and different red flags with these women. It was similar red flags, right? So, one toxic trait that I think that I had was my lack of willingness to show effort, right? And I recognize it now because now that I'm with Candace, right? I'm, I never say no to her. Right. I love saying yes to her, right?
Yeah.
But I think I knew I was kind of like that and didn't trust myself choosing.
Right.
So most women that I dated at certain points, it was like I saw them once a week, twice a week. I spaced out calls, and it was like, and it wasn't as calculated as like, let me check the hours.
Yeah.
But I knew how to keep myself at a healthy distance so that I wasn't going to get wrapped up fully.
Yeah.
That,
And it was like that mentality is like that I want to have my cake and eat it too mentality. Because
not so much that, but more so that I was afraid.
Yeah.
I was afraid of, I know how I am. Right. How I committed. But you see, the whole crux of this was insecurity, right? So my toxic trait was fearing that closeness and that vulnerability.
Yeah.
So keeping you close, but not close enough to where like I had to go in that deep. Yeah. So I wasn't necessarily cheating or sleeping with other women, right?
Right.
But I just couldn't bring myself there.
Because of your insecurities?
Because of that insecurity specifically.
Right.
Wanting to get that close.
So you were kind of like scared of
emotionally connecting to you and being, you know what I mean?
I was similar to that too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. That was really it. And I would say that my advice in that, right, isn't so much, again, dissecting why is this person being distant with me, right? You want to give it some analysis, but I started, to those people who've seen the toxic trait, it's more about, focusing on the result, right? If the result is I need some amount of attention, I've made efforts to resolve this, it's not happening.
Right.
Regardless of what are the possibilities of why that person is doing it, don't even focus on that, because you'll focus on it and it could be, I don't want to get close, or maybe I don't like her, or this and that, or whatever it could be. No, focus on the result, right?
Yeah. My fear, my toxic trait was that fear too, but it was more so driven with
promiscuity.
Commitment. Like especially when I was young and like I was in college. And, So I didn't want to commit to someone because I wanted to have like the quote unquote college experience. And it's not like I was going to be out there and living this crazy promiscuous life. Although that was like a fantasy for every college male that was going to college, but it wasn't reality. That's the stuff that you would see on MTV or on
MTV Spring Break.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Or the movies that we would see grow up watching, like the American Pies of the world and the National Lampooned Van Wilder movies of the world. That's fantasy, right? But sometimes we think that will be somewhat of a reality, and then we'll catch that window somewhere in our college young adult experience, and it will never happen. You have flashes of it where it's like you would have that one crazy night where you're at a house party and you made out with 2 chicks, and that was like a big thing, right? So with me, it was like more so, man, I really like that girl, and man, I want to be like her boyfriend, but I didn't want the label, because if you threw a label on it, you were committed to it, and I was scared of commitment. You know what I'm saying? So that was my toxic trait. Like, it's like almost like I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. Like, oh, I could mess with shorty. We could do boyfriend.
You were eating cake back then.
Facts. and so you would I would have like that assurance, like, well, I'm not in a relationship technically. You know what I mean? If someone would ask me, or if like, you know, some individual will be like, yo, so are you available? Are you seeing someone? I'm like, I'm not in a relationship, and I'll be good. I'll be okay with that, but I would never tell it to the girl's face who I was involved with, and that was my toxic trait. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So avoid those kinds of people, girls. Avoid those kind of men. Because those men are clowns, and I was a clown. I didn't see it then. I thought that was like the bravado thing to do, because I was hanging out with other fools that would have that same mentality. So I think that when it's unchecked, those clowns who are 19, 20, 22, 20-something year olds, they grow up to be these 35, 38, 40-year-olds that are doing the same buffoonery because they haven't grown from that. And that's where you find girls who are in their 30s get involved with these clowns that would use them and abuse them, whether it be verbally, hopefully not physically. And if it's physical abuse that you guys are experiencing, we advocate that you seek help. You don't stay for the sake of the marriage. You don't stay for the sake of the relationship. You don't stay if there's kids involved. If you're getting abused physically, you have to run. We're never going to condone that type of behavior where it's like, oh no, stick around because y'all married and y'all living in the same roof and the kids. Like, no, if you're getting beat over the head, like, you got to go. Right. Like, you got to move. You got to do something.
As safe as you can. But
safe as you can. But like, if homeboy is not, you know, being a man, and you're finding yourself teaching a man how to be a man, then that's a red flag. You know what I'm saying? That means that man never grew up from that state of mind that I had when I was growing up, what you had when you were growing up. You know what I mean? So I would urge girls who are in their 30s, in their mid 30s, trying to, you know, navigate through this dating scene. And I know that the dating pool for you guys may look like a cesspool. I get it. I've been there. JoJo's currently there in the dating scene. I don't want to put JoJo out there like that. But
JoJo, can we do the applause at this point?
Yeah, we're gonna applaud JoJo on that one. Yeah, he's available. But on a serious note, but wouldn't you agree like that? That, I mean, I would urge my homegirl to stay away from the 22-year-old version of me.
But even and once
again, and you have a sister,
of course.
So,
and that's why it's so important, again, for me, when I was even thinking about these toxic traits in these women that I'll put it back to you, right? The toxic traits that I was looking at, and I was picking them out, and if I was like, oh, this girl, dang, she was crazy, she did X, Y, Z, and I'm like, man, I remember this one I dated, she was crazy, she did X, Y, Z. And then when I started picking up the similarities and started seeing the patterns, because if you could, you know, it's not one thing to just be like, okay, Mike is toxic, I'm not dealing with him. Because you don't even necessarily know why. You haven't understood why you're attracted to it. What are you dealing with that? Because if you don't understand those things, then the toxicity will repackage. Like I said, some of these women that I dated were from different walks of life, look nothing alike, different cultures completely.
Right.
And I didn't recognize the traits, right? Yeah. So it manifested itself the same way over and over. So, you know.
That same misery loves company.
Right. You know what I mean? So you need to recognize it in them, right? And just so you could know, not just even to avoid it, but what is it about you that's drawn to that? Because you're going to be drawn to that all the time if you don't understand what it is and heal that part.
Yeah, it took me a while to realize that. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, I was like, yo, why am I attracting these crazy individuals? Like, why are these girls, like, why am I attracting this kind of girl? And then finally I realized it's me. There's something in me that's attracting that creed of people, you know, and it wasn't always the opposite sex and like relational things with romantic, like a romantic relational thing. It would also be like the dudes that I would kind of somehow get involved with. Like I would start messing with, you know, dudes that were pause. But like, these dudes that were living a promiscuous life and they were toxic and they were, you know, this bravado mentality and using girls and, you know, doing all these things. And I found myself like around that, and I'm like, it's the environment that I'm in, and it's causing me to do that, and it's morphing me to act that way. And then now I got to. It's another. It's like the art of pivoting is so important, bro. Like you guys got to learn how to pivot in life, because if you find yourself going one way and it's kind of not, you know, producing fruit and it's producing drama, and you're constantly in these group chats on your phone and talking about this person and that person and baby mama drama and this and that, and then this person's talking about that person, then you come to find out that that person is actually friends with that person, but they're talking about them anyway. So you're just imagining like, oh, if they're talking about their friend like that, just imagine what they're talking about me behind my back. You know what I'm saying? So you get involved with all these individuals, and it's like, yo, I can't live my life like that because it's not sustainable. I gotta literally remove myself from those types of people and get plugged in a healthier community. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm such an advocate in like the church community, because I feel like in church you'll find a healthier balance when, and again, they're not perfect. You're still gonna have drama in the church because you know the church is not exempt from experiencing worldly things, you know what I'm saying? So there are going to be drama in a church community, but at least it'll be healthier because you know better, and you as a Christian can go to another Christian and say, hey, I can hold you accountable because you should know better, you know, versus just living out there in the world and, you know, raw dogging it, if you will, and just living this free life without any care or any guidance or any type of spirituality, and you're just out there just living this worldly life and getting caught up in certain things, and then you find yourself in the dark and you find yourself depressed, you find yourself doing drugs, you find yourself doing this, and it's because you have no parameters and you're conducting yourself without parameters. So you're a free spirit in this world that's going to consume you, eat you alive, and spit you right out, and then you'll be lucky to be alive, you know, when it's all said and done. So I just feel that it's healthier to be in a church community, in somewhere where you can be surrounded by good people that can hold you accountable, that can check in with you, that could have some type of accountability, have some type of transparency, where you can live a healthier social life. Because a lot of us didn't live a healthy social life because we were just out there doing doing whatever we wanted to do because we were just living free.
Exactly.
Like that one song, Young, Wild, and Free.
I know that's a comment. How many songs they came up with that title?
I have no idea.
There's like a rock song with that. I think there's like a pop song or a hip hop song.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
So that's like a toxic trait that you guys and gals should definitely look for and identifying. I think identifying a toxic trait, there should be non-negotiables. Like if I had a sister, I know you have a sister, but if I had a sister, bro, I would be coaching her. I'd be like, yo, you should have non-negotiables. If he doesn't go according to the standard that you believe in, like you shouldn't compromise just because a guy is 6'2", looks good, has a nice jawline, and he has a nice smile, should compromise your belief of what your standard should be. You know what I'm saying? Because then if he's a piece of shit, are you just going to put up with it because he's a good looking dude and he happens to...
Sometimes people be compromising in the wrong areas, dog. They do compromise, but they compromise in the wrong areas. So they'll compromise like their integrity for like, you know what I mean? Like that's it. You know what I mean? It's like, or you'll compromise you know, the actual connection you have with somebody for, you know, the BBL. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the BBL. I'm just saying if you compromise what you know what I mean. That's you know, they won't. I'm trying to compromise in healthy directions. You know what I mean? Like when Candace tells me she wants me to grab her water, and I don't feel like going. You know what I mean? That's a healthy compromise where I'm gonna go. You know, as opposed to like, you know, compromising your morals. You know, like listen, I don't even really necessarily agree with OnlyFans, right? But you know what I disagree with more? The girls that are on OnlyFans who feel so uncomfortable and don't feel like that is their lane and they're doing it anyway. Yeah. Some are doing it and I'm like I said, I don't condone it, but they're doing it and they feel comfortable and they're happy and they walk their dog and they feel happiness. You know, like I said, I don't necessarily think it's the best idea, but it's the ones that are compromising what they truly feel on the inside to do whatever is here. And then it's like not even making them happy. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like that's and whatever it is, you know, whatever it is, like back to red flags, doing it with people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like realizing that, oh, this person's either a meal ticket or this person, you know, they're just 6'5" and whatever the case, or this girl just has the BBL. It's crazy, you know.
And guys, stop being simps. Stop that. Don't be a simp.
What does a simp mean? Because technically, I am somewhat of a simp right now.
You're in a committed relationship with a great girl, bro.
So that's kind of what it is, right?
You're not a simp because of that.
Because that's why I don't
Jojo, what do you say? What would you say the definition of a simp is, in your own words?
I guess just one of those guys who like go down. They lower their standards for women who they think have value
and they're out of their league.
Yeah, out of their league.
In a worldly perspective.
Okay, I thought simple was so. See, that's why I'm out of the loop with all this, right? I thought just like when my little cousin, not my little cousin, my nephew, shout out JB, was teaching me what Riz meant because I was
I told him what Riz was.
So I thought,
no, my son told me what Riz was.
You know, so I thought simp was like somebody who just was like too nice to
I remember
girls
months ago because me and JoJo and some other guys are in a chat, and I go, "Yo, you guys are ready to get your Riz on?" And then JoJo replies and goes, "Well, now that I know what Riz means, I'm ready." He goes, "I got my," because it happened to be cool out, and he goes like, "I got my long sleeve ready." But these terminology you got to keep up, bro.
Yeah, so I thought simp was more of like, you know, oh, he's like too sweet and too nice. So it's a specific type of a person. This is a man who.
This is a man who will do anything and everything to please a woman that he feels is way out of his league. So he'll try to, if especially if he has money, he'll try to buy their love so that he can get their attention and he can get with the woman that's out of his league. In his head. That's
so. Is it superficial? Because what if he genuinely cares for this woman?
No, but he's considered. Essentially he's considered a beta and not an alpha male. Because an alpha male is confident within himself, no matter what people may think about this individual. But you are confident within yourself, and you are a leader. You won't bend for anything. You stand for something, and you won't fall for anything. That's an alpha male in some people's eyes, and in other people's eyes, an alpha male may be something else. But typically, a simp is a beta. Like you're a pushover. You allow the good-looking girl to, stomp all over you. For whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I just encourage guys not to get in that, because it's not all about looks, because beauty is fleeing. You're not going to be beautiful forever. You're going to grow old, gray, and wrinkly, and you have to make sure that you're picking the partner with precision. And I had these conversations with JoJo before, like picking your mate. It has to be precise. You can't just pick him because she happens to bat an eye and make you look good and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying to date ugly women either, but there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance, and that could also be a toxic trait.
Right. Looking below the surface, you know what I mean? Just trying. Who's one?
Proverbs 31:30.
Oh
yeah, Proverbs 31:30, man. But yeah, go ahead. You were saying?
Yeah, just looking below the surface, and you know what I mean, trying to I find that like sometimes just, trying to be the best person for yourself brings out, the best in other people.
Right.
But this whole date, I mean, it's tough, bro, because like, I want to tell people to do what they feel.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like,
but your heart can deceive you too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to be also smart here.
Right.
And also you feel here. Yes, you got to feel. You got to feel. And you're a human being. So I'm not trying to dehumanize.
Because I think we've moved away from here.
Yeah.
I think we used to be here a lot when we had communal communities and how things work. I think we are mostly here. I think that people are like, yo, this is what I feel like doing. I like this woman, but I'm gonna do this.
Yeah,
or
I think
I want to pursue this, but I'm gonna do this.
Right. But sometimes you have to pursue with caution too, because again, the Bible says that your heart is deceitful. Your heart will deceive you if you're not careful. So that's where you have to kind of lean towards God and lean towards prayer and ask God for discernment, because you have to discern to make the right decision according to His will. Because I do believe that you are called to be a husband to the woman that God picks for you. And if you're not aligned with His will, and because you're doing the foolery, you're not gonna find your wife. You're not.
I don't mean feel like as in like blind, like because that's like your id, right? That's like your id. That's like your blind. Like I just feel like watching porn, and I feel like. But if like even me, right? Sometimes when I'm, based on my personal relationship with God, I get feelings that tell me that I'm wrong in instances, and it's a decision that I've made, whether I wanted to even act on it or not. So a lot of times, like if you're really connected to, you'll feel that like you'll have, and I'm talking about your genuine feelings, not like, oh, I want to jump 6'9" in the sauna. That's not a genuine feeling. You know what I mean? You might think that's a genuine feeling, right?
Right.
But if you're connected, you'll understand that there's certain things that like
morally are wrong.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? I get that everyone has a certain different level, right? But of like moral ethics and stuff like that. But I think if people were truly feeling, which I think maybe to truly feel you have to be connected to God in some shape or form, right? Because then your feelings aren't necessarily just true raw id feelings. Like I feel like stabbing this guy down the street right now. You know what I mean?
That's your flesh, your fleshly desires. That's why you have to discern with God's guidance and try to make the right decisions.
Correct.
And that goes with picking your partner. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not just gonna pick your partner because she makes you feel good. There has to be more to it. Are you connected with that person? Do you see yourself?
Candace mostly makes me feel good.
Hey,
see my happy bunnies. Now she's it's funny is once again going back to, you want to go back to toxic traits. So one of the things that I love about her, which also probably I think I love more as we've grown, but I hated in the beginning, was her spontaneity and impulsivity, right? Because I'm so, routine and regimented that it made me realize it wasn't even her problem, son. It wasn't, she's not too spontaneous or too impulsive, right?
Right.
I'm too neurotic that I need, like, if something's in my proximity that I can't control, I feel a little bit, you know what I mean? And so as I started to let go, we started going on these crazy trips and like doing the excursion. Like I'm not swimming with no pigs or trying to touch no pig normally, you know what I mean? And and this pig is next to me and like all these like little things that I would never really do or step out of the zone. And it's the very thing that I disliked in the beginning.
I just never thought pigs could swim in the ocean.
Bro.
I just found that concept
I think they're buoyant. I think that's finally what it is, because their legs just be like, and it's just this big old babe. Just
that's crazy. It looks dope though.
Yeah, it is.
Like a pig walking in the ocean, bro.
And they're large. The ones that they had, they were like these large, like, and they stand up. They're taller than you.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a toxic trait to look for. That way you don't get yourself into trouble, get yourself in a toxic relationship, because those are not fun. I've been in, and I've had a fair share of toxic relationships where I was a toxic person, and vice versa, where I was involved with a toxic person. And being involved with a toxic person drains you. I'm pretty sure we're no stranger to that. Like when you are involved with a toxic person and that person is selfish, narcissistic, all about self, lack of empathy, the lack of XYZ, right? It's draining because you find yourself trying to sustain that relationship, and there's no effort shown in that effort is not reciprocated by that said individual, that you just find yourself drained, and it's exhausting spiritually, emotionally. You find yourself like lethargic and not wanting to go to work, not wanting to show effort anymore in the relationship, and then you just find yourself in kind of like a funk, and you're blaming everybody, and you're blaming your partner, and you don't want to leave your partner because you guys been together forever, it seems like. So and you're that fear of starting over with another person, that's a real thing too, because I've experienced that, where I'm like, oh man, if I don't know, man, maybe I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, maybe we can work these things out, and because if I break up, I'm gonna find myself single, and then I gotta go back in the dating scene and find someone else, and I have to start all over. You know what I mean? That becomes draining. You know what I'm saying? So to avoid that vicious cycle, just know who you're getting involved with. Do your research. Do your work.
Toxicity starts with you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm trying to, I realize even in my situations with Candace now, there are many instances where it's me, dog. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it is, I had a bad day or something, or she said something that triggered something from my past. And,
right.
And sometimes you don't realize the toxicity. It's not so much even recognizing toxicity in other people. It's like, what is my involvement in the situation that makes it toxic? Because the toxicity only is like, it only exists if you're subjected to it, right? So why am I subjected to this level of toxicity? Right. How did I get here?
Yeah.
Who put me here? Why am I still here? And a lot of times it starts with yourself. Like, it really starts with yourself. You know what I mean? It's crazy how like accountability in that sense kind of works. You know what I mean? Because I think that it wasn't there were some toxic women out there that I dated, not all, some, but I think most of the situations, I mean, I was pretty toxic at that time.
Right. Me too. And and again, you attract that because you are that. You attract what you are. And if you're comfortable with that because that's who you are, and you're comfortable in your own toxicity, that you welcome other toxic people in your life. And when you welcome toxic people in your life, they're sometimes just as toxic, if not worse. Yeah. And when it's worse, you're like drawn back, like, yo, you know what I'm saying? And that's where the discord happens. Discord's gonna always happen when red flags are unchecked. You know what I'm saying? And when red flags are unchecked, you're gonna find yourself unhappy, and then alone, and then you find yourself unhappy by yourself. And that's the moment where you need to rise above that and work on yourself. Start from ground zero. Like, whoever is listening, and this is your sign. If you're waiting for something, this is your sign. Like, if you find yourself alone and you got out of a toxic relationship and you're by yourself in your singleness, I think it's time to just work from the ground up and lay out a foundation and work on you. Start reading more. Start going to the gym more. Start going on walks more. If you're into into this whole Christian thing, and you call yourself a Christian, and you identify as such, start praying more. Meditation is such a good thing, man. It's so therapeutic. Prayer is like that. Read one Bible verse and start chewing on that for a little bit, and if it resonates with you, take that with you wherever you go and apply it to your life, and then you'll become a better human being. And I said this earlier, if you're constantly operating from an empty cup, you're not going to be an effective person. You're not going to love effectively. You're not going to be an effective son. You're not going to be an effective coworker, and you're not going to be an effective friend to the ones that are around you, because you're constantly operating from an empty cup. So how do you guys fill yourselves up? The only thing that I learned through my walk is God. God is the only person that could fill me and leave me filled. all the stuff that I tried to do out in the world that I thought was filling me, like going out to the clubs and having a good time with my boys and getting into this and getting into that, sleeping with women, dating different women, doing gordos, like, because gluttony is a thing too. And you think that fills you and it makes you feel good, but then you wake up bloated and hungover and regretting that you slept with that shorty and all these things.
Pineapple sauce all
over your pillow. You know what I'm saying? That pink sauce is on your sneakers. On your brand new Air Force Ones, and you're just like hating life and hating yourself and living in resentment, living in regret. Like, who can possibly sustain that? Right. You're going to crash and burn sooner or later. It's just not sustainable long term. Short term, it looks great. It feels sexy. It feels great. But long term, it'll catch up to you and you find yourself scraping at the bottom of the barrel of life. And the only thing that can fill you is Jesus Christ, is God himself. Like, and like, start there. And if you start laying that fine foundation, you're going to build yourself to be a great man. And then women are going to be attracted to that. But not just any woman, the right woman will be attracted to the person that you're building. So you're right. Mike, it does start with yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you want to build from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? There's not a fast track to it. It's just that you guys, whoever is listening or even watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify, you have to start. And if it's the time is now. Because if it's not now, then when? If it's not you, then who? You know what I'm saying? No one's gonna do it for you. You know what I'm saying? So you just gotta focus on you, especially if you find yourself in your singleness. Like, it's prime time to work on you, to become the man that the woman that you desire could be. You can actually entertain and get involved with. Be ready for and have the capacity to love on that person. Because again, if you can't love yourself, you're definitely not going to have the capabilities or the capacity to love another human being from a different walk of life, from a different upbringing. Because everybody got traumas. You got your set of traumas. I got my traumas. Jojo got his traumas. Like, we all kind of are trying to overcome our traumas and understand where we came from and what our traumatic instances and episodes happen in our life, and we're trying to like navigate through that too. And everybody got their baggage, everybody got their story. But if you start with building yourself, being confident within yourself, and letting go of the toxicity and building like a version of yourself that you're proud of, bro, that's powerful within itself. Like, that's an alpha male in my book, bro. Like, that's a true alpha male. Like, those that better themselves and are, fruitful and are able to have like, great relationships with other great people. And it's not perfection either. Like, nobody's perfect. We all fall short, bro. Right. I'm gonna fail you one day. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna
failed me many times.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
He said, "Oh, you don't call me and check on me." Yeah, he's failed me many times. I'm a clown. That's why we're friends, though. You see, he loves me all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And like, and it's great because like that's how you know you're like the friendship is real, because we can go months without having consistency in our communication, but when we do connect, it feels like yesterday.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Jordan and Pippen.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I don't know about that anymore.
I know. I know. Like, after knowing what we know now, man, like,
there's things. I mean, bro,
that's toxic.
People are funny, dog. People are funny. Toxic. And even the narrative is hilarious, because supposedly it was 23 years after. What's the benchmark? It's 23 years after they split. It couldn't have
something like that.
23 years after. So Michael Jordan's number, dog. So that's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But people are just funny, and God bless those people. God bless Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah. God bless Tekashi 6ix9ine. God bless Donald Trump.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
God bless. Listen. At least Donald is able to put sentences together. God bless Joe Biden, because my guy. Listen, I'm telling you something right now, and it's not disrespectful. Let's just take the presidency out of it. If he was a normal human being, people would be worried. You'd be worried. But you're not worried because he's the president. I'm saying, I'm not talking politically. I'm saying if he was a normal person at this mobile gas station and he was talking like that, you'd be like, sir, do you need some help? You want me to help you pump your gas, my guy? That's all I'm saying. And that's
you seem lost right now.
Yeah. And that's just objective. It has nothing to do. So yeah, I mean, people are funny. Just love on your brothers and sisters.
Man, you're funny, bro. You're a wild boy, Mike. You're a wild boy.
No.
But no, you're funny. You're funny.
I love you, dog.
I love you, bro.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, this was a great episode. I hope that if you were able to connect with us and spend the entire hour and 20 minutes of this conversation, God bless you for sticking around this long. But I hope that somehow you got something out of it, because I know, because we've all been there where we were trying to figure things out as we grow, as we go through our trials and tribulations, and as we seek, because we're always seeking something. And when we're seeking for a relationship, because naturally we were designed that way, we yearn to be with someone. You know what I'm saying? I don't think God designed us to be single for the rest of our lives. You know what I mean? So like we yearn to have a companion and a life partner. And I know that it gets hard for us guys and for you gals. So I hope that the conversations that I had with Mike kind of helped you in that, and be intentional with yourself
100%.
And be committed with yourself before you start being intentional and committed with others.
Yeah. I think because it doesn't just end there, right? I heard someone say the other day that the marriage or the relationship isn't even the end point.
Yeah.
Even right now, I still have to look at these toxic traits in myself.
Right.
Candace has to do the same. We have to call them out on each other. So it's not even, the relationship isn't even the end point.
Right.
So you're constantly always going to be trying to recognize.
Yeah, and I think
with
I forget who said this, but one of the elders in my old church said that, you know, the end game is marriage, because we all date to get married, because that's biblical, right? We want to marry our significant others because that's our spouse. We want to procreate because that's also biblical. Go out in the world and multiply, God said to Adam and Eve. And in that, society will make you think that the finish line is marriage, but the elder in the church says the world will tell you that the finish line is marriage, but it's really the starting point.
That is.
You know? And a lot of people set themselves up for failure thinking, because they spend so much energy on pursuing, on dating, on all these things prior to marriage, that when they finally get married, I'm here. And then it stops. And that's not where it stops. That's where it begins. Yeah. So, you know, that's a little nugget right there. That's free of charge for you guys that are still listening.
Well, we're going to charge you 50 cents for the extra sauce.
Yeah, for the extra sauce.
The nuggets don't come free with sauce.
Yeah, okay? Man. But I hope you guys really did enjoy this episode. I enjoyed it. I had my laughs.
As always, man.
We talked about pretty much. We covered everything. I mean, the fact that we covered Donald Trump, Tekashi 6ix9ine, and the red flags is a lot. Is a lot. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, please smash that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. If you are listening on Spotify, just share that link and text it to your coworkers, to your buddies, to whomever, and listen to the pod on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And all digital platforms that the podcast is available. And again, every Wednesday night at 9:30, I'm posting new episodes. So this new episode is going to be posted Wednesday at 9:30. So if you're listening and you care to share your story, please DM me. Prayer requests too, DM me on the Instagram page, and I'll be sure to connect with you, and we could chop it up behind the scenes. But as always, be the light, shine bright, and we'll see you next time. Peace.